Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well. In this video, I want to talk about the time after college where I had graduated, got a job, moved to Cincinnati, and the time that I transitioned. Because it was probably after that summer, I had gotten strong enough, and once I moved down to Cincinnati, just continued to dabble with weightlifting more. And at that point, it was just to get better at powerlifting, and it was to get stronger legs and stronger shoulders. And that was my two weakest points. My quads and my shoulders were my two weakest areas. And strangely enough, it wasn't through CrossFit, it wasn't through like the internet that I discovered weightlifting. I probably did. Like, I don't know where I saw weightlifting first. It might have just been through Seth at college, and I just got more interested in doing the movements. But I never really saw like a lot of weightlifters talk about how they saw like John North and Cal Strength and all the, like, I didn't know those people existed until I was well into weightlifting. It was such a weird, I suppose unique, because a lot of people in my age bracket saw those people and were like, I want to do weightlifting because of them, and I didn't know who they were until after probably a year or two into weightlifting. I knew a lot more about like hook grip and ATG and stuff like that before I saw like the more American history of weightlifting and what got a lot of people into it. So kind of a weird way to get into it. But after moving down to Cincinnati, I started at a gym that was just over the border in Kentucky, and it was a powerlifting focused gym, mostly with equipped powerlifting, and I didn't really like equipped powerlifting. I thought it was weird, so I I lifted at kind of weird times, which was partially to avoid them, but also just because of my teaching job. It was hard to motivate yourself to, drive 30 minutes and grind yourself into the dirt after going through a day of teaching. And I got out later on the school day than normal. My school day at my first school ended at 4:05, so it took a while to get down and to get ready to train. But I had lifted there for a couple months, got stronger, had good sessions, all that good stuff, and was still a powerlifter and all that good jazz. But I was doing snatches one day because the gym was cool with me doing weightlifting. I asked them when I first joined, and they said, we have this equipment, it's over there. You just do it on that mat that's over there, and there's the bar that you use it for, and the bumpers and all of that. So it was sufficient for what I needed at the time. And I was doing like a 135-pound snatch, and was either doing power snatches or just practicing the movement. And this CrossFit lady, because the powerlifting gym was connected, the building was split in half, where there was a CrossFit gym and then the powerlifting gym split. And this CrossFit lady comes over and essentially just has a Karen moment, yelling at me, saying that I'm going to kill myself if I snatch in there by myself, or I'm going to hurt myself and sue the gym, which is bizarre because you signed a waiver, and also it's it's a 135-pound snatch. Even if I dropped it directly on my skull, it would be pretty hard to kill myself, or to mangle myself with a 135-pound snatch, especially because I was much stronger. I had plenty of extra strength at that point. It wasn't like I was deadlifting 225 trying to snatch 135. I had snatched 585 at that point, and squatted over 400 pounds and benched. I don't know if I benched 300 pounds at that point, but well over 135, and even pressed it. So it wasn't a weight that was physically very dangerous for me to be playing around with, even if I had terrible technique, which I did. But after her Karen moment, I decided to quit that gym and go to the gym that Derek Mortensen had suggested I go to when I originally moved down to Cincinnati, and that was World's Gym. And when I started there, still, like I said, doing powerlifting and planning on competing as a powerlifter, and was just getting more into weightlifting and started to do it more. The equipment that they had at Worlds was better for weightlifting. Wasn't, I suppose, as good for powerlifting, but I was doing all normal powerlifting stuff, so I didn't need a lot of specialty equipment. But continued to train like normal, would do my powerlifting stuff, and then do some weightlifting after, and started to do more snatches. Terrible technique, but I was doing them and trying to do them. And I remember one day, the first day I talked to Justin, who helped me get off the ground in weightlifting, I was doing deficit deadlifts with over 400 pounds because I was pretty strong back then. And I was pretty strong at that point. It's not like my strength has disappeared since then. But I was doing deficit deadlifts for reps over 400 pounds, and then just doing 135-pound snatches after, and they're terrible power snatches. But I had done this, I suppose, enough times to where Justin essentially asked me, what the hell are you doing? And was just kind of confused of, what I was doing snatches for, because it's not common to see people doing those at all, in any gym, any sort of public gym, like Worlds or most gyms in general. But I basically told him the same thing. I was trying to get stronger legs, stronger shoulders, so still training as a powerlifter, just trying to get better at the movements. And he started to help me a little bit. It didn't help me a ton, but like we started to train at similar times, and I was doing the weightlifting, and whether he was there or not, and just continued to do it because I was very self-motivated to get better at it. And as I was doing it more, I think he kind of realized that I was just going to continue to do the movements whether he was there or not. And what you see with a lot of people is that they'll ask you to help them with weightlifting, which isn't a bad thing, but like they are dependent on you being there if they're going to do any sort of practice of the movements or try to get better at them. I was just going to bang myself into a wall to do them and run into the rack almost literally a lot of the times and just continue to do them. So I don't know if he was being nice or just out of self-preservation so I didn't end up as a dead body on the gym floor, but I'm sure it was nice to see another weightlifter, because I've had that same feeling now when you see someone do it. It's like, oh, someone's trying to do a snatch, like, who is this person? It's like unicorns you see around. But he started to help me with my technique, and we started to train together, and he was a lot stronger than me at that time. So I was motivated to kind of like push towards his numbers, and really just continued to train those really, really well. And that was kind of in the fall of 2016. And at that point, I wanted to compete because as a weightlifter, just to do a competition, and he was going to do one as well. So we were training, and that was when I was like doing a lot more weightlifting, still training as a powerlifter, but still doing weightlifting. And I did a block of weightlifting training to get ready for the weightlifting competition, which I did in December, I believe, of that year. And we both did that one. It went really well. And then I did a powerlifting meet about a month after that, and it didn't necessarily go bad, but I remember doing that weightlifting meet and just how much fun it was and the faster pace of it, which is one of my favorite things in weightlifting. Because one of the things that he told me when I started is like, you should have shorter rest times. Like you should just go when you're ready on your next set of snatches or clean and jerks or whatever you're doing. And I was almost excited. I was like, I can, like, because I'm used to like powerlifting. You have to wait a couple minutes to let your body, recuperate, and then you just do it again. Do whatever the next set is. And I was like, I can just like go, not rest essentially, and just, rest for a minute and just go. And he's like, yeah, like it's almost better for like how competitions work. And I was like excited. And that's something I really like with weightlifting, is like if you have to do a quick workout, you really can get a workout done really quickly and get all of the weights you need to do, and almost cardiovascularly work as well, which is a nice little benefit. But after I did that powerlifting meet, after that first weightlifting meet, I was just remember being at the powerlifting meet in January and just thinking how bored I was before deadlifts and falling asleep. And I was caffeinated and everything. Like I was, taking caffeine back then, but just being so bored and like not wanting to be there and wanting to leave. And after that, I was like, I want to just do weightlifting. Like it's so much more fun. It's so much more fun to catch a clean than it is to do a deadlift, and do a snatch than it is to do a bench press. It's just a lot more fun. And one of the things that really got me addicted to it, and this will be kind of the final thing, and kind of like the big reason why I still kind of like get a thrill out of it, is when you pull on a weight. Most people know what a deadlift is, or what a overhead press or a squat is, but there is a very weird or unique or exciting feeling when you pull on a weight. And it happened first with cleans, because my mechanics improved the most on those initially. The snatch took a long time to get the same feeling. But when you pull on a weight and you're like, this weight feels heavy. Because for me, my pull was always so strong, and it still is. So like most of my pulls, I would pull it and catch it so high, I would just ride the weight down. It wasn't scary if I missed, because I'm catching it above parallel, so I'm not in a compromised position or a dangerous position at all. But the first clean that I did, and I don't know what weight it was 275 plus, but I remember pulling on it, and I think it was the first time I did a 285 clean, and I had that feeling, and I didn't even attempt to go under it, and I was like, that was weird. Like I pulled on it, and it felt heavy. Like it felt like 285 has never felt before, because I deadlifted 585 at that point, so like 285 never feels heavy. When I pulled on it, I was like, I've never had that feeling before. And I remember doing the clean after that, because you had to commit to going under it. And what that feeling was is the bar not going as high as it normally was and having to be fast to move under it. in order to get to the bottom. So essentially doing a truly full clean to where you didn't have a chance of catching it above parallel, no chance of powering or whatever. And I had that feeling, and I did it that day. And as I got better with cleans, at first, I started to have that feeling more, and I was like, this is addicting. Like, this is so fun. Like, just to do a weight that feels heavy, to move fast under it and catch it, and then be able to stand it up. Like, that's just it's like a thrill, and it's addicting, and it's very fun, and it's like something that you don't necessarily chase, but like, the feeling, and like when you do it, like it feels like you accomplished something. Like, you pull on a weight that felt heavy, you got under a weight that felt heavy, and you stood up a weight that felt heavy. And same holds true with snatches and with jerks now, is like, wow, like that weight felt heavy on my shoulders, and I was able to throw it above my head, and like that snatch felt heavy pulling it off the ground, or it felt heavy when I caught it in the bottom and I was able to stand it up. Like, that accomplishment of like succeeding against the weight is very exciting, and it's very addicting, and that's what really kept me to it, and really why I still do it now. It's like, it's such a fun and exciting thing to do, and I think that's true of a lot of people that watch it. Like, oh, that's impressive. Like, it feels fun too. Like, it takes a while to get to that feeling of like, wow, this is like exciting, and I'm really pushing my body under a weight that is difficult, but it's something that keeps me coming back to it. And so I suppose, like, the weightlifting, was dabbled with in college a little bit, and I started to use it more to get better at powerlifting, to work on improving my leg strength and shoulder strength. And then as I got better at weightlifting, it just became more addicting, and now it's to the point where I don't even really ever bench press. I don't have any interest in doing powerlifting. Maybe if like I'm really old and I can't do weightlifting, if I get like hurt in weightlifting and I can't really do the movements, maybe. But like, I don't think I'll ever compete as a powerlifter, because I don't get any excitement out of doing a powerlifting competition. I've done several of them, and they're not very fun at all. Now, will I just go back to doing squats and deadlifts and maybe some overhead press? Potentially, if I'm old and I get burnt out from weightlifting. But I'm kind of running pretty well in weightlifting now, and I don't really see myself stopping anytime soon. And I know I'm 28, so I'm getting older anyway, but I still want to continue to push the movements and see how strong I can get. And I think, to me, that's the thought of continuing to do weightlifting is just such a positive thing on me, and it's just such a good stress reliever, because there's so many different things you can do to have a good workout, and it's not just squat, bench, and deadlift. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me coming back as well, is you can feel like trash and still do productive work. I can feel like complete, absolute dread and go and do muscle snatches and still get like productive stuff done, work on technique, and do stuff that's, you can train every single day. Like, you can train multiple times a day if you have the time for it. And to me, I like training every day, or most every single day, because I will occasionally take days off, but I like having the ability where I can go to the gym every single day and do something that's productive. And that's the other addicting thing, is like, you can have shorter rest times and you can train every day. And to me, that's what I pretty much did in powerlifting, and one of the reasons I would get not necessarily burnt out from it, but just kind of get really fatigued from the volume, is it's really hard to do squat, bench, and deadlift every day, just because they're strength movements. And with weightlifting, you don't really have to. Or essentially you do, but you do them with such light weights that you recover from them. But that's kind of the journey of me getting to where I am now, at least pushing myself as a weightlifter. It was really after that point that I didn't really do any powerlifting, and would still bench occasionally, but just really push my weightlifting movements to the point where they're at now. And I think the only thing I really see in the future of my weightlifting stuff is maybe I won't want to compete, because I really don't like competing, just the peak of it. But as I get more consistent competitions, I think I'll like it more. And as I get to the numbers that I want to get to, the 140 snatch and 170 clean and jerk, then I'll be much more motivated to push to larger meets. But now, like, doing competitions is something that I just need to do to practice for when I do get stronger, then I'm able to do those numbers, so I can go to the AO finals, which is kind of like my lifetime goal, to be able to compete there. Obviously not to win, but just to be able to qualify to hit the numbers. And I think at that point I could say I'm, a successful weightlifter. But I suppose I am at this point, but to me, that's kind of the standard I've set for myself, 140, 170, and obviously, that's not where I want to stop, but that's kind of where I'm trying to push myself at this point. But with that being said, I think this is kind of the end of the little series of how I got into Olympic weightlifting and started to do it all the time. So hopefully you enjoy this little series and you stick around for whatever topics I have up next. And if you do have questions about things or stories that you want me to tell about whatever else is going on or things that I mentioned, always let me know, and I'll make some commentaries about those. But hopefully you enjoyed all these and they weren't too terribly long, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Hopefully you all have a good day.